Okay, good morning, students. Can you hear me?
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. So,
Good morning, ma'am.
as good morning. So, as on previous occasions, let me first turn on the recording and then quickly move
मैम
over. Yes?
मैम ये मेरे दीदी के फोन से क्लास बस रहा हूँ मैं फुलबा हूँ मेरा फोन स्विच ऑफ हो गया है सर मैम
Okay. So, Promila, who's in charge of noting attendance, please note that uh, that that your
फुलबहादुर शेर्पा
okay, right. So why don't you text the your name to if you're not from the same department, if she doesn't know you, why don't you put your name in the chat box so that we know who is the attendee, right?
यस मैम
Okay, thank you. Um, I've turned on recording. I'm still admitting people, hence the delay. So, can you see this?
Yes,
Yes,
we
Didi.
can.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So I'll quickly finish this last page of the section assigned to me and then move over probably to right that okay. So Promila, I don't know if she's in yet. Are you here?
Easy. I'm here.
And you make a note of the name there. Okay.
Yes, of course, yes.
Thank you. Yes. So, so let's move over to discussing the final, shall we say, page of this very productive, very crucial international phase of Tagore's life, work, and career. So there's, this follows from what I had been saying about his association with Victoria Ocampo, his visit to Argentina, his stay at Buenos Aires, and his exposure to implicitly over a long period of time, but to a lot of uh, primitive art from around the world and so on. So please note the date of the Paris exhibition, which I have talked about in 1930, and then came these very important Hibbert lectures, which would then go into what the religion of man. The essay, that long essay on, yes, that is what I wanted to discuss last time, remember? So, Religion of Man is his seminal statement on what it means to be human and how it is a special, as it were, um, it's a special boon, it's a special, if you like, gift to be born human. And he distinguishes there between mere existence and essence. We are not human automatically, although that's fundamental. We are not born human. We are born human, but we are in terms of realizing our potential as human beings as opposed to mere animals, so realizing our essence or meaning as opposed to merely existing, that essence is, shall we say, attained by human beings individually and as a collectivity through conscious endeavor. And that endeavor is all about reaching out towards, through a certain spirit of connectedness to the entire universe. So you are most human when you are able to connect your existence to the larger circle of life, the larger, if you like, unity of life that strings together the planets, the galaxies, the universe is outside the university, things that have existed in time and space outside of our historical time, as well as the smallest of creatures, the smallest of the elements of nature. So Tagore, this is the kind of unity Tagore thought about, cosmic life and earthly life at its humblest coming together, and you are at your most human when you allow your consciousness to connect to both ends of the spectrum. So you are at your most human when you feel when you feel alive to the circle of life around you. So it is a privilege to be human. It's a different kind of a boon. So humanity for him, for Tagore, comes with a certain, shall we say, platter of gifts, as well as, shall we say, corresponding responsibilities. And the responsibilities are such as to find these principles of connection. So I think a human being so I think for him, the religion of man, or a man in the generic sense of the term, and he would have included woman there, and we have to include woman in that discourse. The religion of man is to realize the highest potential of being human. So the arts, creativity, such sciences, or such technological developments as help foster the connectedness of life rather than destroy life. That is where humanity realizes its full potential. Now that is his very, very heroic, very, very progressive, uh, shall we say, anti-war, anti-violence, somewhat spiritual, but at the same time extremely pragmatic a vision for man. And once you have read Religion of Man, you realize more than ever the profound influence of the Upanishads as a corpus of philosophy on his mind, on his thought, and on how he saw himself. Shall we say, as destined for a particular, um for propagating a certain vision, a certain, if you like, idea of man. Why he put so much emphasis on speaking to people around the world. All that becomes evident in the Religion of Man. And he says something very interesting, which I, for one, find very interesting at the Religion of Man. That you see, bodily speaking, humanity has, if you think of what the gymnasts can do, if you can think of rock climbing, of the extraordinary feats that humanity have achieved, people climbing buildings, putting themselves to so much trouble, climbing mountains. So physically speaking, humanity has developed to a point where they probably don't need to develop anymore. And maybe medical sciences will get us to a point where, I mean, think of what the vaccine, we are talking, God forbid, of the vaccine, and hope that the vaccine works for everyone around the world. Although we are not completely unconquerable, but I think medical sciences are getting to a point when humanity can hope for a future where there will always be some incurable diseases, but a lot of diseases are now under control. So I think, bodily speaking, Tagore maintains, we have probably reached the apex of our development in the Darwinian sense of the term. We have evolved and evolved and evolved, and there's not much to do. So but we can't stop. You see, there's a mobility to being human. Humanity is a project that is work, may be seen as work in progress. It's not a full stop as soon as you're born, and it's not a linear journey from the point that you are born to the point that we live our earthly lives. No, it's actually a vertical journey in terms of progressive self-realization. Now, if that is the case, if evolution is then to continue beyond the body, beyond bodily evolution, then it's the mind that has to keep on developing. And the point of this mind is not just advancing in technology or developing artificial intelligence. The development or the evolution of the mind, of the human mind, for Tagore is has for its project or its destination union with the essence of life, with the spirit of life that is beyond the human parameters. So when man's mind is able to uh, kind of forge an equality, forge a complete unity with the spirit of the universe, that is when mind is at its most evolved, and mind and soul and the division between the soul and the mind and the body, as it were, disappears. This is his notion of human growth. Have you understood in a nutshell?
Yes, Didi.
Okay.
Yes, they.
Right, right. So, so that is what he would have also shared in the very prestigious Oxford, Hibbert lectures delivered at Oxford University. So, and that is, I mean, to be asked to deliver that lecture itself, and he would be awarded an honorary D.Litt. The man who didn't go to a university would would then come to be feted and honored by multiple universities around the world. So you see, there's still value to independent scholarship. So you don't have to afford Tagore. You can carry on your work without necessarily being tied down to any institution. Tagore himself became an institution. He became the founder of an institution without ever having actually been part of one. So I think it's a remarkable journey of a single human being, and it tells you why he kind of, I mean, just tells you how what great fruit of giant India has produced between the 19th and the 20th century. Remarkable. I think we should all be proud of that. So then comes again a catalogue of multiple visits, relating now also to the fact that he is now being recognized as a painter. Although the response was rather mixed, he was rather hesitant about showing his paintings in India because his paintings were very unconventional, and it was more in sync with the trends in modernism, or that were evident, say, in Picasso, in primitive African art. So he was more in sync with Western European or American or global art then than with Indian art. So his reputation as painter was generally, shall we say, consolidated abroad. This is important. I was telling you about the fact that he would visit Russia, and would come to admire a lot of their efforts. Although he was in principle not a socialist, he would not try. He was not a communist. He did not appreciate everything about that political creed or system. Having said that, the emphasis put on he never liked dictators anyway. So he liked simply the emphasis put on, shall we say, the common people, on equity in distribution of wealth. That is something that he probably kind of took an interest in and wanted to try and make, get on with a similar experiment in Sriniketan. And this is an important text that comes out of this visit, Russia Chithi, letter from Russia. I seem to be continuing to admit people. That was number 93. Um, and then he would go to, as I was saying, 32, Persia, and that is Iran, then called Persia, and Iraq, and 1934 to Ceylon. These are interesting trips culturally because from Ceylon, or today's Sri Lanka, it was not yet independent then, as you know, he picked up modes of dance and certain, shall we say, um, features of Robindra Nritya. So so his responsiveness to the performing arts from around the world is also something to be noted. When I come round to showing you some of the slides, you will see that I think Sri Lanka's national anthem is also ode to Tagore. So he is, I think, that one remarkable song composer who is to whom may be attributed the national anthems of three countries, not just India and Bangladesh, as you might know, but of course also Sri Lanka. Note the name Hafiz, a very important Persian poet. Lots of extraordinary poets came out of Persia. From what we understand is the Middle Ages in the Indian context. And Tagore's family had always been polymaths, and they had had a lot of acquaintance with Arabic and Persian languages alongside Sanskrit, alongside other languages from the other parts of India. For instance, Rabindranath's second elder brother, Shotendranath, would actually learn Marathi because he was posted there, and other, I think, may have learned Gujarati too, and he would use a lot of those languages in the cultural productions that he and his wife would put up there. So they truly believed in cultural syncretism, and I believe that is something that didn't just begin with Rabindranath or his brothers, but actually goes back to Devendranath. Okay, that's so much for the text that I was responsible for. Any questions? Any questions at this stage?
No, ma'am.
Okay, right. So let me go on to therefore, just a moment, presenting some slides. Can you see this?
Is
Yes,
the
Didi.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
right. So this is something that I had put together um, for a particular workshop abroad, but I thought it would be a good thing to kind of wind up my sessions with you, just with some visuals. So I won't be able to show you all of them, but just to give you an idea here, can you see all the statues? So these are from around the world. This is from Jorashako. This is from Shakespeare's. Yeah, this is probably from Shakespeare's house in the UK, Stratford upon Avon, from different parts of the world. So there's a statue of Rabindranath in pretty much a lot of places. Can you see that? So I wanted to kind of uh, put it up here, right? Got it? Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
so this kind of is, it just tells you, you see, that had it not been for the 5 bigha land that was bought by Devendranath from uh, the family of the Sinhas, and that's how he started the ashram. And later on, Tagore came over and took charge, and a lot of his family members would come and start living here. Dijendranath, for instance, his eldest brother, would live here all his life beyond a certain point. It just tells you how what one human being can do. I mean, look, this is not Calcutta, this is not one of the metropolises. Shantiniketan was nowhere. It was a nondescript place. It was not even a habitation, if you like. And just one man, or let's say one family, has now put it on the global map. And everybody who visits from any part of the world to the eastern part of India, particularly to Bengal, actually comes to look at Shantiniketan as a place of pilgrimage. So it just tells you what one human being can do. And well, at some level, I think this is what Tagore would have wanted, because there's a price to pay in terms of the cost on the environment, but I think it's become something like a site of cultural pilgrimage. I seem to be constantly admitting people. I'm going to carry on with this. So I wanted to put up a picture here of Santosh Mojumdar. Can you see that? And how interestingly, he wrote this Brahmacharjashram when he was a child student here. Shantiniketan, Bolpur, Birbhum, Bangladesh, Bharatbarsha. So I think Shantiniketan is also about being connected to the world, exactly as Tagore would have wanted. This is where the different stamps, different nations from around the world who commemorated Tagore with shall we say ceremonious, or shall we say ceremonial stamps, that tells you again what an impact he has had around the world. And the three national anthems, India, Shri. You can just look them up on YouTube, so you don't even have to follow the link. So and the as I said, the three national anthems that are owed to him. I put up certain pictures from across his life. This is when he was 7 years old or so. This was when he was a youth. This was when around the time of Balmiki Pratibha, on the eve of his departure for England. This is again when he was probably around the time he was in the 1880s, late 1880s, 1890s. This is the Gitanjali Rabindranath. And this is probably from his 70th birthday, if I'm not mistaken. This from very old age, right? Okay, and this is from a trip to Europe when he was again in his in his 70s, if I'm not mistaken. So this is what we need. This to me is how we can think about Tagore, as same idea, as a tremendous unity of thought, and all the different areas in which he was active. I put together certain, shall we say, pictures of what Calcutta had been like in the early 20th century when Tagore was active here before he moved to Shantiniketan. So this is what India would have looked like, and so on. And the other luminaries of Bengal, Mighty Madhusudan Datto, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Vidyasagar, Keshav Chandra Sen, this is Derozio, Vivekananda, you know, Bonkim Chandra, D.L. Rai, Sri Aurobindo, Prafulla Chandra Rai. This is Sister Nivedita, whom I mentioned at the start, and Nivedita going to meet Ma Sharoda Devi. This is Upendra Kishore Roy Chaudhuri, who's the father of Shur Kumar Roy, who was the father of Satyajit Rai. And this is probably Brahmabandhu. This is Brahmabandhu Upadhyay, is it? Possibly. Sorry, I'll check and get back to you about that. I've forgotten. It's been a long time. So this is about Devendranath. This is a portrait of Devendranath. This is Rabindranath at Shilai Daho. This is the Shantiniketan house in here. This is from one of their trips to the Himalayas when he was 12 years old. This is a picture, an old picture of Shantiniketan around the time Tagore moved there. You can see how deserted it was. It was not at all habitable. It was khoi. It was arid land. And this is a note on Devendranath, which we don't have the time to read now, maybe later. So this is Tagore's mother, and he would remember her in Mone Pora, Sharoda Sundari Devi, whom you probably know about. This is what the Nobel Committee said about Tagore's family, that it was the family itself that was, shall we say, a super family, the first family, in culturally speaking, of 19th century Bengal. So that is where he got all his gifts from largely. And to give you further details, this is Jyotirindra Tagore for the first ICS. Uh, this is Jyotirindra Tagore. This is Jyotirindra Tagore, of course. Jyoti Dada. He was, this is Hemendranath Tagore. As you can see, they were all polymaths. I mean, there are so many things that they did, and they not only practiced these things themselves, they were keen to introduce these into Bengali culture. So they didn't confine it to self practice. They disseminated their ideas in a way that really catapulted Bengal into modernity. And this is Dijendranath Tagore, who was a poet, philosopher, translator of Kalidasa's Meghadutam. Kalidas was a great favorite of Tagore's, literarily speaking. And this is Tagore's, this is Dijendranath's rather humorous tribute to the brothers. So all their names are here: Shotto, Hem, Bir, Birendranath, Gunendranath, Jyotirindranath, Shomendranath, Robindranath, Devendranath, from the father Devendranath. This is the family ancestral house, Jorashanko. This is Kadambari Devi, who had a profound impact on Tagore's life. This is not Kadambari Devi, this is Kadambari Devi, but the image of a woman who rode a horse, and you can see that women of Tagore family, they had privileges that probably other women did not, and they were pretty westernized at the same time, extremely rooted in their own culture. Gyanodanandini is very important because she introduced wearing a sari, and she really kind of helped women come out of from behind the parda, and so on. So members of the Tagore clan. All the women of the Tagore family here, as I said, this is Gyanodanandini wearing the sari in that special way, and the jacket, which and this really, the sartorial culture is important because it's allowed women to step out and actually and have concourse with men at social gatherings. So I think sartorial or clothes are become very important there. And the other women here, women who wrote, Progashundari wrote the first culinary manual, and then there's Sharola Devi, very important, the daughter of Sharna Kumari. This is also Sharola Devi. This is Sharna Kumari Devi, the sister and the first woman novelist in Bengal, and sister to Rabindranath, whose daughter Sharola Kumari Devi was also a freedom fighter, apart from being a wonderful writer and an associate of Gandhi's. This is a letter he wrote to his wife, which we can pass over. This is from his Shilai Daho days. This is the house still that he had lived at, which has been turned into a museum. This is a This is a photograph from. This is Rabindranath from that period, and this is Chinnapatra, translated recently by Rosinka Chaudhary. Oh, his children. As I was saying, he had lost Shomindranath. 1900, a huge blow had been struck. His daughters, this is at the marriage of Rothindranath to Pratima Devi. His two other daughters were here. This is Shomindranath, who passed away tragically. The Shilai Daho experiment, even from the time of his Shilai Daho estate management, he was into interesting, shall we say, pedagogical experiments also, and he had associates working for him. This is where I put up the contrast in Tagore. A part of him was always trying to reach out to the world. The other part was the devotee, the rishi who withdrew himself. So he was constantly oscillating between the two. This is about, this is that famous painting by Abanindranath of Bharat Mata. So his contributions of the Tagore family generally, and Tagore in particular, to the anti-partition movement And so you can see the processions being taken out. And his novel Ghore Baire, as you know, is is about is set against that period. Different songs that he wrote, inspirational songs uh, from that period. So, so this is from a poem that he contributed, an inspirational poem, shall we say, to Lala Lajpat Rai's, the great that revolutionary magazine called Young India. This is about his Nobel Prize, which we have talked about. And this is the image. This is, remember, this is Rothenstein, and he was at Rothenstein's house. This is the frontispiece of the Gitanjali. This is again, Tagore seated on the floor. This is W.B. Yeats, who was his editor. And these are the different editions available today. And the impact of Gitanjali. Wilfred Owen, a great poet, was of in the English language, who died in the war as soldier, would write this letter to his mother before passing away. And this is Tagore protesting the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. And this is General Dyer, as you can see. And this is a memorial put up by, with the help of funds raised by Gandhi. So Gandhi also did his bit. Rabindranath renounced his knighthood, and this is the letter to Lord Chelmsford. But Gandhi raised funds so that a memorial could be put up there. To me, this is a staggering image of all the visits of his to all different parts of the world, and it just tells you what a phenomenal. Yes, did a hand go up?
No, ma'am, it was by mistake.
Okay. The women who looked after him, you're going to read about them in the next bit of the text, which I suppose Professor Dipankar Roy will take up after me next. So Monday onwards. These are many. There are many books about early Shantiniketan. You would find at the Vishwabharati outlet or Subarnarekha. So right. So these are some of Tagore's paintings, and this is his. He dies, as you can see, at the age of 40. I'm so sorry, 80. So this is an obituary that came out. This is his last journey by train to Kolkata for medical treatment. He's being carried out, as you can see here. His last birthday celebrations, I think, when he turned 80, and so on. So the way he conceived of death, which was not ever tragic, he saw death as just as a punctuation mark, if you like, before he entered a new life. So he was. This is Tagore and Roma Rola, who is probably being mentioned. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, right. This is Tagore and Gandhi. And as you can see, Rajiv Gandhi was also chancellor of the university. This is Indira Gandhi, who was chancellor. And as you can see, Gandhi would keep coming to India, coming to meet Tagore and seek his advice. This is Indira Gandhi as a student at Shantiniketan. Tagore and Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, again, their association go back a long time, and they were at Oxford together for Tagore's Hibbert lectures. I've put together pictures of the different houses here around Shantiniketan. This is This is Shurul Kuti. I was telling you about it the other day. This is the Upashana Griha. This is the Kalobari, a very interesting house. This is the Cha Chokro or the Nantika. This is Dijobiram, where Dijendranath used to live, Nattoghar. Deholi, where Mrinalini Devi used to live. This is Ratan Kuti. This is Pato Bhavan School. This is that interesting structure called Talodhaj. And this is the Shantiniketan Griha. Again, some more. This is where the museum is located, and this is the mud house, Shamoli, where Gandhi would always come and live. This is Tagore sitting inside Udayan. This is a Bichitra museum. This is inside Punoshtu or Udichi probably, yeah. And this is the other house, Konark. And this is very interestingly Punoshtu or bungalow house. His many friends and associates I've talked about. Now this is Kiti Mohan Sen, whom I mentioned. This is Probashi Putrika, run by Ramanando. Yeah, and I think that picture had been Ramanando. Promoto Chaudhuri with his Shobuj Patro. Kalidas Nag, whom I mentioned here below. Ajit Chakraborty, who was his secretary for a very long time. Omio Chakraborty, a biographer and associate. Anil Chando, his later on his secretary, a great friend, Prashanta Chandra Mahalanabish, who was the founder of the Indian Statistical Institute, ISI, in Kolkata, which is still a very, very good institution for study for statistical studies across the world. Promotonath Bishi, another associate of Tagore's. I mentioned Andrews. Here is Andrews. Andrews in conversation with Gandhi and Tagore. Here again, Andrews. Andrews in conversation with Tagore and Ramananda Bandopadhyay. Again, Andrews here. So if this is where you go if you want to look up their biographies. Vishwabharati.ac.in, then the different names. This is somebody who came all over the way, all over the, all over from France to come to teach at Vishwabharati, all the way from France, sorry, to teach at Vishwabharati. Sylvain Levy, French educationist. Pearson, in whose name the Pearson Memorial Hospital. He was also translator of Tagore's works. This is, I mentioned Geddes yesterday, Patrick Geddes, who was town planner and architect. So he contributed, Arthur Geddes contributed to the rural construction projects, and later his son Patrick would also do so. Sorry, I don't know, I keep mixing up the names. Patrick came and Arthur is his son, who was also associated with Tagore. I told you about Elmhurst. This is Elmhurst and Tagore, probably in Argentina. This is Dorothy Elmhurst, who founded the Dartington Hall, Dorothy Strait, and this is the Elmhurst Institute today. Winternitz, a very famous teacher, a professor of Indology. Lesney, again an Indologist, and then Santosh Kumar Mojumdar, Satish Chandra Roy. So a glorious legacy of early teachers. Bidhusekhar Shastri, Hazari Prasad Dwivedi, who's mentioned in your text. So they were in charge of the different bhavans. Hindi, Hazari Prasad Dwivedi was in charge of the Hindi bhavan. Japan, this is Okakura, and his motto was Asia is one. This is, Stella Kamrish's admiration. She was also influential in introducing Tagore's art abroad. When it comes to his music, this is Indira Devi Chaudhurani. This is Amita Sen, Kiti Mohan Sen's daughter and Amita Sen's mother. This is Omiya Thakur, Shahana Devi. This is Dinu Thakur, without whom um, Tagore's songs would not have received, notations and so on. Just a moment. His different dance dramas here, and some of the greatest exponents of his music in the 1960s. It is Chandra Kumar Sengupta would be responsible for the gramophone records that were cut. Tagorean dance, and you can see that Tagore would be seated on the stage to make sure that families did not object to women dancing on stage, because he would be seated there as guardian. This is what I was talking about, the influence of Sri Lankan dance, Kandi dance form. I put in photographs from the internet. Tagore was actor, performer. This is Tagore um, in Balmiki Pratibha, here again, in Balmiki Pratibha. Later Tagore as, and this is Tagore in Tagore, and so on. He would direct a film. Notir Puja would be made into a film. So he would actually be part of that. You can actually type in Notir Puja and you will be able to see sequences from the film on the internet. Dagkhor is very famous play. This is Tagore himself there in the play. The idea of Vishwabharati. This is what he said: it's a vessel carrying the cargo of my life's best treasures, and I hope it may claim special care from my countrymen for its preservation. And this is the song Amader Shantiniketan, which you will have occasion to hear a lot, and which is also there on the internet. You may look it up. Where he learned these principles of education from. I mentioned Tapovan, and so on. So let me quickly move over to, these are the great artists of Shantiniketan, of Kala Bhavan, Ramkinkar Bej, Nandolal Bosch, Binod Bihari, and so on. Tagore and the Bauls, whom I mentioned. Festivals of Shantiniketan, Posh Mela. This you would find on the website, Sriniketan, Ananda Bajar, Rothindra Mela, Nandan Mela. So they are part of the calendar, if you like. And now quickly, let me conclude. Right, if you want to read Tagore in English, there are so many translations available. You just have to look up Amazon. This Tagore has been, stories have been made into so many films as well, even recently. So he never kind of he never has gone out of. So his marketability is immortal. Victoria Ocampo, I mentioned her, Victoria Ocampo. So this is Ocampo. And he, again, Victoria Ocampo and Tagore at her house, and the letters that they would exchange. This is how his paintings happened, you see, began from doodles and, scribbles, over to more important paintings we have seen already. Tagore's art, the reception. This is Kumar Swami, whom I also mentioned, Anand Kumar Swami, art historian, and he would be the curator of that New York exhibition. And this is Tagore looking at his own paintings. This is Tagore in 1930, in front of his exhibition. So So if you want to, this is where you can read his works online. There's Robindra Rachanaboli. There is tagoreweb.in for chronology. This is where you can go, Vishwabharati. And this is where you, for deeper research, you can go to Vichitra. And other relevant resources, such as the centenary documentary made by Satyajit Ray. It's there on on YouTube, and many other documentaries. You might find it all there. I wanted to end with Tagore's message of universal love. Okay?
Okay, Didi.
Any questions at this moment?
Didi, is there any presentation regarding all the names listed by the age, like of Tagore's family tree?
I didn't get your question. What do you mean by presentation?
Uh, like anything like a presentation or
A,
any list
a
of
genealogical chart?
Tagore's family tree? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it would be found in any kind of look up Vishwabharati, the website, but I suspect you'd find it in the Andrew Robinson, in the book, The Myriad Minded Tagore. You might find it there, or
Okay.
just Google search.
Okay, Didi. Okay.
You
Thank you,
might.
Didi.
If I find something, I will send across an image, and maybe your group admin can share it with you. Okay,
Okay, Didi.
right. Anything else? Have you got a sense of Tagore, Shantiniketan? Are you now a little more clear?
Yes, the.
Yes, Didi.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And Monday onwards, yeah. Uh, what PDF? Sorry, what PDF? No, I'm sorry. I will. What I will do is I will share recordings of the recordings of my class. You can look it up there. So this was not general. This is my teaching material. So I would rather keep it to myself. But of course, you will see everything that I have shown will be available strictly to your to you as students. So I will make it available very soon, shortly over the weekend. Okay. So my classes kind of pause here, and Monday onwards you will reassemble for your sessions with Deepankarta. Understood?
Yes, the.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, the.
Thank
Thank
you, ma'am. Thank
you.
you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Didi.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.